Friends, one of the main issues of the India March for Science is the dismal low amount of support for education and science. Always the governmental policies, education policies have committed a good amount of support for education. Let us see what the education policy, the new education policy says. It says in article 26.1, the policy commits to significantly raising educational investment as there is no better investment towards a society's future than the high quality education of our young people. Very good words. It says, unfortunately, public expenditure on education in India has not come close to the recommended level of 6% of GDP as envisaged by the 1968 policy, reiterated in the policy of 1986 and which was further reaffirmed in the 1992 review of the policy. Now, so we expect that the governments will make an endeavor to reach that level of support for education. How much? 6% of the GDP. Now, in the article 26.2 commits, the center and the states will work together to increase the public investment in education sector to reach 6% of the GDP at the earliest. And this policy was formulated in 2020. What has been the situation since then? Let us look at this year's budget that was placed on 23rd July 2024. The gross domestic product GDP at the current prices now is 295.36 lakh crores, and therefore 6% of that what is committed comes to 17.72 lakh crores. Now, the GDP and the union government's budget are not the same things, but the budget has to be such that the public commitment, that means the governmental commitment to education has to reach that amount 17.72 lakh crores. Now, this year the total union budget was 48.2 lakh crores and the amount that is earmarked for education is only 1.25 lakh crores, which is, if you divide the two, you find that only 2.59% of the union budget is committed to education. Now, as we have seen, the total GDP is 295.36 lakh crores, while the union budget is 48.2 lakh crores, and therefore, if you spend 6% of the union budget, it comes nowhere close to the committed amount, which is 17.72 lakh crores. So, the actual amount that was given was only 1.25 lakh crores, while the amount that the new education policy commits is 17.72. So, it is clear that there is no intention of reaching that level of 6% of the GDP of governmental commitment to education. Now, we on behalf of the India March for Science have been demanding that 10% of the union government budget and 30% of the state budgets should be committed to education. Why? Because unless this amount is committed, we come nowhere close to 6% of the GDP. The states in the federal structure control much of the education, the schools, most of the colleges, universities, except for the central universities, are funded by the states, and therefore, the state commitment to education has to be higher. We have demanded that at least 10% of the union government's budget and at least 30% of the state government budgets should be committed to education. Now, 10% of the union budget would be 4.82 lakh crores. This is also significantly smaller than 17.72, and we anticipate that if the states commit 30% of their budgets, then it might come somewhere close to the amount that the new education policy committed. For example, for the state of West Bengal, the total budget is 304,689 crores, and 30% of that would have been 91,406 crores. But actually the amount that is allotted is only 15.6%, which is 47,531 crores. So, if you add these amounts from the states to the amount that is committed by the center, it comes nowhere close to the amount that is supposed to be committed to education. So, what is the situation? On the one hand, the new education policy demanded or envisaged various changes in the education structure. It envisaged a 4-year degree course, it envisaged introduction of Indian knowledge system into the courses, it envisaged multiple entry, multiple exit system. So, various things were supposed to be envisaged in the new education policy, and the government is giving an overdrive to implement these. The institutions are receiving letters almost every day from the government forcing it to adopt these policies, and yet the government's own commitment is not being adhered to. People are forgetting the government's own commitment that 6% of the GDP is to be spent on education. And this year's budget clearly shows that the government has no intention of going anywhere close to that. The new education policy was introduced in 2020. Look at 2021, 22, 23 and this year's 24 budget. Each year, the commitment in education has been more or less the same. It is something like 2.5% of the union budget. And this shows that the government has no intention of truly improving our education system. We, the scientists, are demanding that the education system is the backbone of the country, and therefore, the education system has to be strengthened, the school system has to be strengthened, the public school, the government school system has to be strengthened, the college university system has to be strengthened, and for that financial inputs are necessary, financial commitment is necessary, and the government must make that commitment. Thank you.